My fellow Ambalanders, this is Dr. Cho Ayaba. I'm doing this audio today for two reasons. I sometimes spend a lot of time sampling opinions, trying to understand people's mindset, try to understand their frustrations, and also how to channel those things into policies and practices that can be both subjective and objective. Subjective in giving people clarity, and objective in ensuring that it fosters our collective goal for liberation. Thank all of you for your generous support. As I said, I understand some of you, your frustration. Trust in the things that I say. It is based on the foundation of truth. That's how my leadership is. Nothing will change. Let me say three major things before I get into a few analyses. Number one, we will be announcing soon a code of conduct for all Amazonian forces. At the beginning of the phase of this resistance, we had put in place a code of conduct for the Amazonian Defense Forces. It is almost like an internal document, though public, to guide soldiers on what they are supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do. What is acceptable conduct, what is unacceptable conduct. Because war is messy and is somehow opportunistic, this code of conduct, though might not be entirely effective, but work as guides to forces. So establishing a code of conduct for all forces is very important as we move towards our freedom. Forces might take this general code and translate them into different charters that work for their group and for the context within which they operate. The second major policy document that is going to be out is what I had already announced. In times of war, women and children are exploited because they are very vulnerable. Children have been taken as child soldiers. They have been used for different activities by criminal gangs for different selfish purposes. Women have generally been exploited whether there are wars or no wars. But in wars, there is an uptick. And so we've established a charter that seeks to protect these vulnerable persons within our community. That does not only hold true for women and children, but even for vulnerable groups that are in Amazonia. We've spoken about, the Mbororos and others. But this charter is very important, and I hope that you people are going to read it and make sure that it is widely circulated. Education is key to the success of any policy. The next important policy document, which is already on ground zero, is what we call the ADLA, the Amazonian Liberation Transitional Authority document. In times of wars, if you do not take action to mitigate the effect of the creation of ungovernable spaces, they will be filled by bad actors, and they will do things in your name. They will tarnish the reputation of your struggle. And so we had created the anti-kidnapping ZAR portfolio to work with our forces to stamp out kidnapping. We've observed an uptick in Mezam, and we are taking effective action to make sure that we can reduce the level of kidnapping within our communities. But these are stopgap measures. These are short-term measures. The long-term measure to ensure stability and cohesion within dynamic or static control areas is to make sure that the gap between our forces and the population is bridged. We cannot allow the population to be bystanders in their own liberation. By establishing local liberation councils within areas that we have some level of control, it will ensure that the population is part and parcel of the liberation institutions within those areas. Those councils can look after issues of health. We saw during the period of COVID and the period of cholera the devastating effect of being unprepared of these illnesses on our population. These councils will ensure that there are preventative measures and curative measures that are deployed to help our population. There are simple things we can do at very little cost. Getting medical practitioners to go from home to home with test kits and test people for other diseases like typhoid, malaria, and you might identify illnesses that are looming, ones that are already there but they are not showing visible signs. You can make prescription, and families can then purchase medications, and you can do control. A healthy population is a wealthy population. A population that is sick cannot create wealth, cannot create opportunities. So we must do everything, even in times of war, to keep our population okay. In times of war, there are many lost opportunities in terms of established jobs, because established industries are destroyed. So many things are destroyed. But there are also new opportunities. How can we reskill our citizens to be able to fit in and gain from those new opportunities? Liberation councils will look at even establishing vocational training centers that can help train different persons in times of war. And they should be able to work with international NGOs to look at issues of humanitarian support. Education. Our children haven't really been to school. We've created community schools. They are still struggling. These councils will be tools that we can use to have oversight and to implement, monitor, and report on the progress we are making, the setbacks we are making. What can we do? So these are important issues. Our forces cannot fight to liberate and defend, and also police to protect. So it's important that we move forward to begin to establish these things. Somebody asks, has the AGOVC now turned into governance? Liberation governance after 5 years is critical if we want to deal with issues that are emerging during times of conflict. How do we deal with violation of human rights? How do we deal with violation of international humanitarian law? How do we deal with issues of criminality? How do we deal with issues of lack of access to basic healthcare, education, other services for the handicapped within our communities? If we claim that we are independent, if we claim that we are in charge, we can not only be in charge of guns, we should also be in charge of the humane side of our societies, creating institutions rather than feeding people on a daily basis. Create institutions that will have long-term positive effect and impact on their lives and the cohesion of the resistance. The last point I'd like to talk about is to congratulate Mr. Capo Daniel for being appointed, and his nomination has been adopted by the Amazonian Governing Council, National Council. Congratulations, sir. As I said to you people, those I choose to serve our people are those with strong conviction. I don't choose people because of their intellect. I don't even choose people because of their professional background. I choose those who have conviction, unwavering stamina. You will learn on the job. If you want to rely only on professionals, they will be professional and bureaucratic. When things are bad, without conviction, they will waver, and you fit into that box. Thank you for accepting that role in these difficult times in our life. And I would appeal to our people to support Mr. Capo Daniel. He has been a true son of the land. He has been a passionate person who has spoken for our people. And I urge you in your role to speak for Amazonia, to represent every interest, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and to uplift our nation and our people, to ensure that their case is properly represented out there. Now, my last comment. My people, the reason why Jesus was hated was because when people were hungry, he fed 5,000 people. He walked on water. He turned water into wine. Things that people perceive as impossible. He's shaking the foundation of the elites. He's shaking the foundation of those who thought were entitled to power. That's why he was hated and murdered. we create the news for people to report. The strength of our leadership is our ability to translate little happenings into an international posture that strengthens and fosters our struggle. To take the issue of waste in Bamenda and turn it into an aspect of occupation and the right of our people to have companies within Amazonia deal with our trash. We take the issue of territorial control and make everyone understand only those who bleed, die, and control the territory have a right to impose taxation. We use taxation as a mitigating factor to make sure that we can reduce criminality or what you call kidnapping. We arrested Madam Mundi. Some of you shouted for days. We used that arrest to highlight the plight of thousands of our people thrown in the dungeons of the enemy, almost forgotten, exploited at the beginning for political posturing, used as tools rather than being treated as people who require freedom. Some even pray for prisoners to stay in there to make the case of Amazonia strong. No, we think our prisoners should walk out and we will arrest every enabler for exchange. We faltered in the case of Mundi. I will not speak about it now exclusively because there is still war, battles going on. We lost this battle. I take full responsibility. But note, my leadership is based on the truth. I have never told you a lie. I will not. And everything that happens during my time in leadership will be clear. For the past 5 years, people have built political careers in undermining that leadership. They have all failed. I am their graveyard. I am their graveyard. There is nothing they can do about me, and they lack things to do. Those who are powerful uplift the weak. Those who are weak agitate, react, try to undermine progress. All of this noise is because of the power, the conviction, the direction that this leadership continues to provide. Trust in it, and you will be free. Listen to people who presented to you presidents and in a few days condemned them, wish them dead, presented to you the next one defended corruption and chaos, the next time presented to you the third. That is called irrelevance, and that's why they act like weaver birds, noisemakers. We will continue to work hard under these difficulties. You will continue to face chaos. It is your choice to walk away from it. If you want to swim in it, it's up to you. It will not be our responsibility. Our responsibility, based on the mandate given by institutions like the AGOVC, created as instruments of your freedom, is to do everything humanly possible to free Amazonia. In that process, we will make mistakes because we are human. But in the past 5 years, we have made few errors. The reason we are still here is not because of the noise they make. It is because for 60 years, Cameroon turned us into liabilities. We cannot even mobilize enough resources. With the resources, they will not speak for one day. Amazonia will be free. God bless you all.